and gentlemen, this is Organizing the Elements and correlates with Chapter 5.2 in your textbook. Your key concepts for this video are, what did Mendeleev discover? What information does the periodic table contain? And how is the periodic table useful? So first off, let's talk about Mendeleev. Dmitri Mendeleev is this Russian guy who studied the elements, and he looked at the elements. And for this, let's pretend we've got these different shapes, and they represent elements. He would look at them and be like, oh, look, these ones are the same color and shape, these ones are the same color and shape, so are these, this, and this. And he might study this, he's like, okay, how could I arrange this more? He'd be like, oh, well, you know, circles, they don't have any corners, so let's stick them first. And then triangles have 3, and then these diamonds have 4, our pentagons have 5, and our stars also have 5, but a few more in the corners there. So now it's a little bit more organized. And he looked even more. He's like, oh, wait, I can organize it in order of their sizes. So Mendeleev, he actually looked at the atomic mass and was like, oh, if I put this in order of its atomic mass, there's these repeated patterns that I notice that are happening. And he's like, oh, this is it. And so he organized the elements in order of increasing atomic mass, and he realized there were repeating patterns. And he even noticed that even though there were some holes in the table, he predicted correctly what these elements' properties would be. So he predicted there would be a small little yellow star there, which would represent an element, or a medium-sized red pentagon here, or a large-sized blue triangle here, without ever seeing them because of the patterns that he saw here. So all of this organization, that's what became our periodic table. Now today we don't organize them by atomic mass, we organize it by atomic number, which is the number of protons, because we know a bit more. But at the time, this was revolutionary. So it's arranged by those repeating patterns of properties, and there's lots of repeating patterns of properties. Now, for your periodic table, I recommend you start looking at page 172 and 173 in your textbook. It is going to be your friend for the rest of this unit. Get familiar, dog-ear those pages, stick a sticky note there, know those pages. So, now that we talked about what Mendeleev discovered, let's talk about what information is found on that periodic table. So first off, you've got the element name here. So carbon, the common name, is what we hear things as. Then we've got this big letter on the side. That's called our chemical symbol. It's 1 to 2 letters. There will be the first letter will be capitalized, and if there's a second letter, it'll be lowercase. This number here, generally at the top, that's our atomic number. It tells you the number of protons and also the number of electrons. It's always going to be a whole number. And then generally at the bottom, often with decimal places, you'll find your atomic mass. This is your number of protons plus your number of neutrons. Because remember, protons are big, neutrons are big, electrons are little. And so those big neutrons and protons added together make up that atomic mass. Now sometimes this is also called mass number, because this is the mass and the number of them that comes together. This is a very important thing to know. If you know nothing, take nothing away from this video else, know this information. Really, 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 really important. So, let's talk about how we can use this information. Remember the phrase ape man. Ape, A stands for atomic number, P stands for protons, E stands for electrons. So your atomic number equals your number of protons, which equals the number of electrons. Then we get to man. M stands for atomic mass, A, again atomic number, and N, neutrons. So you take your mass minus your atomic number, and that will give you your number of neutrons. So remember the phrase ape man, and you'll be able to use a lot with your periodic table. Now, how is the periodic table of elements useful? Now, if you remember, it's organized by these repeating patterns of properties. But just looking at it like this, we can't be like, oh, in this spot here, it's kind of hard to talk about. But we've actually organized it even more. Our vertical columns are called groups or families. They're organized by similar properties. So all the elements here in group 2 have similar properties to each other. All the elements here in group 18 have similar properties to each other. They're grouped or family together with these different properties. One common property is as we go down the periodic table, atomic radius increases. The other direction we can talk about things is the periods. These are the horizontal rows of elements, and they show the pattern changing from left to right. So, if we look at, say, the number of electrons in the ring, we've got 1 electron, 2 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you notice it increases by 1 all the way across, but they're all in that second orbital. This is what we get with our periods. That's it. Be sure your notes hit all the key concepts and vocabulary, and if you feel like it, try this challenge question.